Hi guys, and happy Sunday. Today is Sunday, March 13th, and we're continuing on with the new sets that were introduced in the last annual catalog that's due to retire at the end of April. So on this day, we are going to go over Plentiful Plants, and I'm going to be showing you the bundle as well as the designer paper because it's a real cool set. It's on page 81 of the annual catalog, and it is, let me bring it over to you. It's 15 stamp sets. It is 14 dies, and come over here to the side, and it is these wonderful papers. Let me put this upside down so it's not too contrasting. So here's the one side, and some of these match up to the dies, like I think these do and these do. And then there's the back sides. Wonderful backgrounds. So we're going to be using a little of everything today. We're going to be using that designer paper. We're going to be using copper embossing powder. We're going to be using baker's twine. Now all of this you can find in the catalog. So like I said, the stamp set and die bundle is on page 81. That copper is part of a embossing set, so you can either get the basics, which is black, clear, and white, or you can get the metallics, which is copper, gold, and silver. And then we're also going to be using possibly copper foil sheet, which you can find on page 135. And finally, like I said, that baker's twine, which is in a pack of 4 and gives you all those great colors. You got the black, granite, gray granite, very vanilla, and crumb cake, and white. Oh, there's 5 of them. Okay. There's a lot in there. I just remember that. So let me put this over to the side. Let me make sure of this. And then I'm going to be cutting out, when I cut this out, I cut a bunch out at a time. So you can see I have my little adhesive pocket. Now, people have asked me about this too. I used to run a plant sale for our high school. And somewhere along the lines, I had gotten these. So these are just like envelope pockets, but you can peel off this, or you can peel off this, and it's adhesive on the back, so then you can stick it down. I don't stick it down anymore, or if I do, I stick it down to this sheet, your hard sheet, not the softer sheet. But it's really helpful to keep those extra scraps in there. And yes, if you order from me on my website, stampinup.net, Roxi for stamps at stampinup.net, you will get a dozen of those in your order. So just because I don't even know where I got them from. I got them so long ago. But anyway, this is the card we're going to be making using a little bit of each of those elements. I do think though that I'm going to substitute either this that we embossed in the the copper embossing powder, or this is the copper sheet. I might put that in instead of that, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So let me come over here, and I'm going to grab, I never know if this is crumb cake or Sahara sand. Let me look. This one is Sahara sand. And so then that would make this one crumb cake. Here, let me just get over here. So that would make this crumb cake. See the very little difference. When they're side by side, it's hard to tell. I'm thinking I'm going to use the crumb cake today. But let me go ahead and put this back in my 4x12 area. And I'm going to run this through the baby. So I'm just going to rip off part of it. So I'll go through the baby, okay. When I cut these out, I go ahead and cut, let me get my little magnetic plate out here for afterwards so I don't lose any of those. I cut a bunch out at a time. That way I have them on hand. Make sure that this is going to go through your baby, okay? So what I do is I'll lay down this plate, lay down my cardstock, and I'll put as much on there as I can. Now with the baby, and people have asked me this, not from the videos, but from classes. They're like, it seems like my stuff shifts when I go through the baby. And it is true. Let me show you what we mean by that. I'm just putting a bunch of these down so we can cut a bunch out at once. You have to make sure that you have both plates on tightly. And they will move a little bit because the baby doesn't have as much of a pressure. So what I do is, see how that one's moving already? Oops, oh my goodness, I'm moving everything here. I keep my thumb over this part until it first starts catching those. And then I keep my fingers over the other ones so they don't move. You don't want them to move too much because they can cut into the other die. We saw that on one of my videos earlier. I can't remember which one it was. So you're not getting your fingers under there. You're not going past this ridge mark, but just kind of keeping it so it's in place. So now let's go ahead and bring this out here so I don't lose any of my dies, because I frequently do that. It'll be like I have to search all over to find them. So see how we got so many of those cut out at once, and they just fall apart. So this one's good for layering. This is my favorite one, and I'm not using that folder today. Let me get these pieces out. But let's go ahead and get rid of those scraps so we don't get the pieces actually in with the scraps. All right. Just throwing it over here in the garbage can off to the side. All right. So I'm not using, let me see if I can find it really quick. Where is it? It's a, all right, I thought it was a big one. Maybe it's a small one. Oh, here it is. The macrame folder. Because that also is a great folder to use with this because of this whole macrame thing. Now, little fact about macrame. My mom used to do macrame when I still lived at home. And we were always told, oh, well, macrame only lasts for about, 20 years and all your plants are going to start falling off. Guess what? I'm in my 50s. My mom did this when I was in my teens. Those things are still hanging up. So don't believe everything I tell this to my daughter all the time, don't believe everything you read, and especially on the internet, and all wives' tales are not true until proven true. Okay, just saying. So could use the macrame folder. I'm not going to today. And I hope I'm doing everything on this card right. My daughter's friend Leslie, she is so good with plants and succulents and all that stuff. And I probably should have consulted her before I did this video, but I didn't. But she's like our go-to person with plants. So I'm dedicating this video to Leslie. And Leslie, whatever I've done wrong, tell me through Deidre and I'll correct it. All right, anyway, so I think I'm going to use this and this today for I like the way that looks with it. Now, if you wanted to, yeah, I'm going to use that. So then the rest of these pieces that I'm not using, I'm going to go ahead and put in my little folder here and put it back in there. All right, so now that I've talked so much, let's get to actually creating the card. Let me put, because we're not going to emboss on air. Let me go ahead and put it this way. I'm not sure. Am I still in? I'm still in the frame. Okay. So when I was making those, the example sheet, the little, I don't know what's right, my sampler sheet. You can see that I've cut these down to 2.5 by 3.5. So guess what? These leftovers from cutting all these, because this is the part that didn't get cut, are perfect for making this card. So I've taken just jade and I have this as a background. I wonder, should I run this through the macrame folder? Maybe I'll do that. Let's do that really quick, which means I have to bring out the mama stamping and cut and emboss machine. Let me put these in with my metallic tray for right now. Let me find where I just put that macrame folder, because you know me, put things in weird. Oh my gosh, where did I just put the macrame folder? Did I put it back in here? Let me look. Oh, yep, there it is. Now, of course, this would look a lot better if the cardstock, I was going to do it in just jade. Should I do it in crumb cake instead so it looks more macrame? No, I'm going to stay with this. We'll just stick with this. So, of course, this is a regular embossing folder. It's not a 3D. And the way I'll show you is that you can see the thickness. Oh, maybe it is a 3D. Here, let me look. Let's go back to our catalog because everything's in the catalog. Everything you need to know. Because it doesn't feel as thick as a 3D, but since it's a smaller one, I don't know if maybe that's why it doesn't feel as thick. So let's see, macrame, alphabetical, macrame. It is a 3D. See that? It is a 3D. So for the macrame then, we're going to look at what our panel tells us, our one. And so it says, using with 3D embossing folders, you use just your 1 and your 4. So we're not using the 2s or the 2 or 3s today. Let me put that back over here on my shelf. All right. So let me get the macrame out. All right. And it's supposed to go this way. Maybe we'll do it up and down. We'll see. We'll see. So we're going to go here, here, and we're going to run it through the Mama Stamp and Emboss machine. Oh no, my husband just got back with the dog from the walk. So let's go. Hopefully they don't make a loud noise. All right, so I always tell you to do the fold in. It's okay if it's on the side like this because the pressure is going to go out this way. You don't ever want to do it this way because then the pressure builds up and you might crack that edge. So it's okay if you do it as the side there. We're just going to run it through nice and smooth. There's that release point. Put this away. Yeah, so I'm not running my noisy heating tool, but I am doing my loud Stampin' Cut Emboss. Only when you shut the platforms, because I don't do it quietly. All right, so I guess that's not going to matter too much if it's at the side. All right, so let's go back to this. So these are what I have left over for making the samples. So there's all 3 of the colors. Or I'm sorry, the backgrounds on that side. So here's that, here's the other sides. So what I do is I go ahead and take my bone folder and I'm going to pick out which ones I'm going to do. And this time I think, because it's more of a, I'm going to be using that, I might do it like that. Maybe I'll do very little brick. I'm going to do very little brick. Then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. So what I do here is I kind of measure it out a little bit. I want this first one to be about 1 inch. So I lay my bone folder down. I just kind of use it, but I move it a little bit so it's not straight up and down. And there's your first tear. All right. So this one, I want to do the underside. Now you don't have to always have it to the edge, okay? So here I want this to go maybe about this far. So I'm going to do it a little bit further. And then this last one, let's see. I'm going to use this granite. Oh, you know what? I don't want those 2 together. I want that broken up. So here, we'll do it like this, and then we'll just tuck that one under. So let's go ahead and do this one a little bit. And then we'll do that underneath. All right. So now I don't want it to go more than 4 inches to my card because I do want some green to show here. So I'm kind of going to use this. I'm going to try to stay right at this 3-inch mark. So here's 8 and this is 11. So that's a 3-inch mark. So let me get, and look what I did find, guys. I found this. It was inside of my heating tray. That's why I couldn't find it yesterday. So I like that I can still see through it. So I'm going to kind of go up here to use that as the lineup to make sure that these are all lined up. But then I can also see that I'm not going past my 3-inch mark. I love this for this. All right, so there's my 3-inch mark. So let's go ahead and bring that down a little bit. And that comes right at the 3-inch mark. So then what I'm going to do is just lift it up like that. I'm just doing this to actually get it lined up. Just so it's at the top there like that. And then, as you can see, I will then run a whole bead across the top so it stays at the top. And usually I use tear and tape when I have an embossed item. But when you're using strips like this, I like actually using this. So then I'm going to come across here and just go at the bottom. You see you have a little bit to trim off. All right, I'm going to leave it like that. Not a big deal. All right. Then I'm going to bring this out. And let me see, for my baker's twine, if I still use that color, will it fade? Oops, I just bumped my camera. Let me make sure we're still in focus. Okay, sorry. Bumped it with my head. Anyway, let's see. With the baker's twine, it's pretty close to what it is. So maybe, oh my goodness, maybe I'll use the black on this. No, I don't like the black. Very vanilla. Gray granite. I'm going to use the gray granite. Because see, this is too matchy-matchy. I'm going to use the gray granite. And let me show what I do with this. Oh, I shouldn't have taped that top down all the way. Let me go like this just a little bit for now. Because what you're going to do with this is you're going to take out a piece of it. And this is what I like to do, is I'll take a piece of this removable tape and I'm going to put it down at the end and I'm just twisting that. Sorry. I'm just twisting that till all the way. All right, so see how I have that twisted now. So that's going to go like that. I should have done this the first. It's because I do this. I plan it out pretty much before I go to bed. Then I forget what I'm really supposed to do by the time I get up. So I'm just putting little glue dots behind there. And then we're going to take them off. So we have those two little glue dots there. And this one I'm just going to curl over on itself a little bit. Now let's try this again. The very end, so we're twisting it. All right, I can see this isn't going to work perfectly. So let's go there. We're pushing it down. So that end is stuck, because now that it's stuck down, we can actually cut it. All right. And now here's your twisted part. And you're supposed to wait till you have it twisted before you tape it down. But now we're going to tape it down there. All right, so you have a little bit of that twisted. And I know it's not that much of an effect, but it's all about knowing it's there. Oh, no, I let go of it. All right, it's still twisted though, because what I'm trying to do is get another dot here to hold this all in place. There we go. So now that's holding that in place. You don't want to put it too up high because we have to put this in there and the flower. So remember back from over here, because this video is getting so long, I won't show you how to stamp a flower. You guys all know how to stamp flowers, stamp leaves, all that good stuff. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this below there, again with a little glue dot. Oh, and I originally stamped on with the Just Jade, and it was too juicy, so I had to use my spoon and move it away from the top so you could see all the details. All right, so let's figure out how that looks. We're going to slide that underneath there. The reason why we haven't tied any of this down yet is because if we wanted to pull a leaf through, we could. So let's go ahead. We're going to pull this leaf through. All right, it's being difficult now. Pull that leaf through, and then let's pull that leaf through. It's probably easier if you do all this before you tape it down, but let's go ahead. We're going to pull all of that through, and then we're going to bring our pot in. And I think I need to cut that just a little bit so that pot can go through. Oh my gosh, so much easier with the other vines. There we go. All right, there we go. So here we have it lined up now with our little plants. Going to slide a few more dots underneath there. Peel that backing off. Sorry guys, this is turning into a real mess. All right, anyway, there we go. Get your weaving and all that done before you lay it down. Okay, so there's our plant, and now we're just going to take a simple greeting and put it across the front. So I think this one I'm going to say a little note with the biggest thanks. Let's go ahead and take that one. Leslie, I hope you're not disappointed in me. I've really butchered this video. Okay, anyway, so let's go ahead and grab that. Let's grab, when I use, here's my white, vanilla, and black scraps. I usually use vanilla when I'm doing plants or nature, just because it's not as stark. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to make sure this is lined up straight. We'll use that main line there. So, well, let's see. Little note, biggest thanks. So we'll make sure the little note's across like that. So that's on a line. When I pick it up, I'm looking over to see that I have the block against the line. That way I know it'll stamp somewhat straight. We'll use cinnamon cider because, of course, we're focusing on those in colors that are retiring at the end of April. All right, so let's make sure that this is lined up with a line. This is lined up with a line. And there we go. So if this is already cut out, you want to make sure it's straight like that. When it's not cut out, of course, you can, do it however you want to do it. So let me bring over the cutter then. What a messy desk. All right, and what I use, I'm not good at measurements. You guys know that from watching my videos. I use a lot of, especially and when I drive. I'm not good at directions. I'm good at remembering landscapes, natural elements, stuff like that. So what I do is, you see these ridges up here? I use the inside of this ridge. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a little, when you look at it, there's like a little line that goes down. So I use the inside of this ridge to mark where my letter is. So if I have that S lined up at the inside of that ridge, when I cut down, I know it's going to be approximately 1/8 of an inch. I know, and it's hard to show on camera, but there is like a little ridge here. And then when you look down, it's like a little 3D. Now this is, and maybe it works for me because I have monovision. And for those of you who don't know, monovision is me cheating my way out of getting bifocal contacts. I have bifocal glasses, but I love my contacts. But using readers was just bothering me. So monovision means I have way different prescriptions of contacts in each of my eyes. So my left one is for short distance and my right is for long distance. So maybe that's why it works for me, that I can see that little ridge when I'm looking down. And that's where I line the letter up to. I don't know. It just works for me. If you like math, though, math is hard. If you like math, though, go ahead and do all your measurements ahead of time. I like eyeballing things. So for those of you who want to know, this is 2 3/16 by 1 1/8 or 2/16, whichever way you like it better. Like I said, math is hard. Eyeballing it is so much easier. So let's go ahead. I'm going to make sure I have that same little. Now, this is not 1/4 of an inch. So then this one, I kind of just go by, again, a little bit of that inside, but I go a little bit further. It's all about eyeballing it. And it's not perfect, but it works for me. And I've done it for a lot of time. For a long time. A lot of time. Now I sound like my daughter. She said something funny yesterday. We were watching a docuseries on Netflix, and she said something, and it was so funny. I'm like, did you mean to say this instead? It was funny. It was something like more better, or I don't know. And I just looked at her and said, either it's more this, or... It was funny. Sorry, Deidre. I digress. All right, so let's go ahead. I know I have dimensionals somewhere. Put some dimensionals on there. Take it off. And then go ahead and figure out where you want that on your card. So there you go. There's my 2 examples. Oh, what a messy desk. Anyway, so there's my 2 examples. Oh, the last thing I forgot. And you got to remember about these because these are the best thing. In the January to June mini catalog, there was items that were carried over from previous minis. So this is not in the annual catalog, but it's still available. Don't forget about those brushed metallic adhesive back dots. So we are going to use that on this because you see the rope through there. No one wants to see the rope through there. No one wants to see that rope. So let's go ahead and grab out. Here's one of those. Oh, it helps if you take the lid off. One of those. Put it right over that hole. Oh, I have to tape that down. Yeah, I have to put glue dots behind there. Let me do that right now. Let me do that right now. Do I know where I threw my glue dots? You can't use your scoring end. Okay, here we go. Let me put that upside down so I can peel it off. Oh, now it's stuck on my finger. All right, so it was stuck on my finger. So let's make sure. Here, I thought I was done. All right, and then go ahead, put that underneath there. Take off that backing and put that down. Get that backing off. Sorry, now my head probably is in this scene. And I have a backing there. Get that out of there. There we go. All right. So yeah, so you put one of those little brushed metallic dots on there, and look how that just adds a little bit of punch to the card. All right, guys, there you are. Sorry, it was, you know, it's the 13th. I know it's not Friday the 13th, but it's the 13th, and I don't need any reason to mess things up. But on the 13th or full moon, it seems to happen more. So there you are, using that set Plentiful Plants, using the dies and the coordinating designer series paper that goes with it. Thanks a lot, guys. Hope you had a fun time. And we'll talk to you next weekend.